Hello, gentle viewers. This is Av Guardian, welcoming you back to Out of the Park Baseball 24 with the Korean Baseball Organization's NC Dinos. I suppose we could probably filter it as the Night City Dinos. I don't know whether baseball still exists in the world of cyberpunk, but why wouldn't it? Baseball's awesome. Truly amazing. Especially with all the heavy Japanese flavor and theming. Like, that's one of the things I've never fully understood about the Shadowrun universe, right? Total tangent, but it's something that's always bothered me, which is like, this is Shadowrun, right? In which Japanese corporate influence has dominated, like, this new world for the most part. I mean, yeah, there's other corporations, whatever. Why isn't baseball like a huge part of Shadowrun's lore, given that the Japanese might even love baseball more than Americans do? Um, Maybe they got something better. I don't know. You got like the Matrix and all that stuff. Your Simpsons, your better than life chips, then maybe that's the difference. Anyway, complete non sequitur. Welcome to a new episode. In our previous episode, we went through the our previous season, which didn't go so well. If we take a look at our team history here, we missed the playoffs again, and we were under 500. We'll get there. I'm fairly certain. We'll break through this. Issue, but not yet. We also went through the off season. So one of the things I do want to talk about very briefly is pacing. I know we've been really irregular about whether I do off season and full season, or just the full season, or just the off season, or whatever. It's just going to depend on each video. I haven't found that sweet spot yet, where with the Oakland series, I know I have to do just the off season and just the season. There's going to be enough to think about, talk about, consider throughout the episode that if I want to keep the episode lengths around an hour, which is roughly my goal. I don't really care that much I'll go over that, but I definitely don't want to go too far under it. So because that with Oakland, I know, okay, it's a Major League Baseball season, I'm going to have this decision to make. I want to do this with my team, and here's how I'm going to do it. With the KBO, especially because A, I'm managing as well as being the GM, and B, the fact that the rosters are simpler, it's hard for me to gauge, especially how quickly an offseason is going to go. All this is to say, that's why the episode pacing might feel a little bit uneven. I apologize for that. But that's where we are, at least until I get another couple seasons of this under my belt, and I can get a little bit better at predicting things here. But we haven't been a very good team. That's probably the most important thing to fix. And if we can fix that, I think we'll be in good shape. New people and old people. I'd say obviously the most obvious new person on our roster is Matt Davidson, our new first baseman. Hopefully offering a good old chunk of thump in the middle of the lineup, which you've desperately wanted for a while now. A lot of these are old friends. To be honest with you, this isn't that different a roster from last season. We do have Omen No getting to play the full season, and given what we saw in his rookie season, I think there's a lot to like here, and he could be the next great superstar. The most obvious difference is not having Kunwoo Park, who'll be out for a couple more weeks. Getting him back would be a big shot in the arm. We'll have to think about who we move around and when. So, we're giving Seijin Cho another chance, even though last season wasn't super encouraging. Maybe with a guaranteed regular role, he'll be able to start really applying some of the awesome stuff we saw in Rookie League in the majors. I truly hope that for us anyway. Pitching staff hasn't undergone too many differences. Young Jun Lee was one of our pitchers last year. Jay Hockley. Mr. Lee didn't have a very consistent role on the team last year. I think we have to give him his fair shot this year. We have several new pitchers here. Perhaps most importantly, we have a new bullpen dude in Angel Felipe. Um, we need a dominant bullpen. We saw what happened last season when our bullpen wasn't very good, and that's where we are right now. I'd also like to note for the record, we only have two foreigners. No, we have three foreigners. Forgot about Humberto Mejia. So we have all three of our foreigners. So you got a starter, a reliever, and we've got ourselves Matt Davidson. What do we want to try to accomplish this season? There's a couple things that I'd like to try to accomplish. The first and most important thing is I want to get back to the playoffs. We haven't bottomed out since that initial season, and I don't think we will. But I do think one of the keys to us being a great roster is going to be figuring that part out. Is how do we get back to the playoffs? I think the bullpen is going to be a huge factor, though. It's interesting, though. It's interesting the way that... What's the biggest difference between the KBO and Major League Baseball? 28 players. That completely changes your calculus as you're building a team. And it seems subtle, right? It's just 3 more dudes. Or, according to the current reality we're in, two more dudes. But knowing how to allocate those extra players is so compelling and so interesting. And I know I'm probably not doing it to the best ability that I could. I probably don't need 14 pitchers, to be honest with you. I probably need to go 15 position players and 13 pitchers. But another thing to consider is that you just don't see as many workhorses in the KBO. You don't. I think part of that is the fact that so few of them throw what we consider major league velocity. Like, we have several people who sit in the 89 to 91 range. There might be like one guy like that a team, maybe, but if that is what you've got, you're trying to get rid of them. That's not sustainable in the majors. It is in the KBO. But the downside of that is because they don't throw very hard, if they get into trouble, things come apart rather quickly, which means they don't last as long in a game. Let's take an example of one of our better pitchers in Mr. Shangmoku. No, Shangmoku is a terrible choice because he got hurt. Let's look at Yang here. Note consistently, he hasn't come even close to getting 200 innings. Not even close. And he's actually fairly durable. If we look at his innings per start... Come on, IP over GS. It's the easiest thing ever. It would be so helpful to have that. Because it really shows his durability. We have quality start, which means pitched over 6 innings. He's doing it, more than half the time. But he's only getting 29 starts a season. You're never going to get 30. You're rarely, if ever, going to get 30 starts in a season. I don't think that's acceptable. Or not acceptable. I don't think it's expected. That's the word I was looking for. And this is from a fairly durable pitcher. But nonetheless, it's still something to really focus on, is that your starters aren't going to go as deep into games. Which gives... but it also makes you build a bullpen differently. I haven't done all the scientific bullpen building in this series, because, to be honest, I think there's not a lot to work with. It's mostly converted starters, because... And there's another difference between the leagues. I don't see as many purpose-built relievers in the KBO. This happened in an online league that I ran for a long time. After a certain point, the way the AI works, it would just play starters as the relievers, and so relievers gradually just faded out of the game. Like purpose-built relievers, those guys who would only give you, 3 to 4 outs, maybe 5 outs a night, every couple of nights, and they're going to shut down the other team. That hyper-specialization just doesn't exist, as far as I can see in the KBO. And so you're tied up in getting good pitchers, and if it turns out that you have a team like 15 starters, you just pick the ones who are the best at starting and let the rest figure it out in the bullpen. But the flip side of that is the pitchers tend to be very samey. If we look at our relief staff for just a moment here, there's a lot of very similar pitchers here. They all throw roughly the same velocity. There are some that are like proper relievers, but they tend to be not the best. Um, they're all fairly good at striking out. Some are decent at movement. Some are decent at control. But look at the overall numbers here. Apart from Felipe, everybody ranges from 50 to 40. So, unlike our Oakland series, where you're able to build a dominating bullpen of really elite talent, that talent doesn't exist in the KBO. It just doesn't exist. If we didn't have Felipe, this would be like a boring bullpen because, yes, all different pitches, they'll pitch in slightly different ways. That part I understand. But none of them can take over a game, I don't believe. And I think one of the key components here, of course, is someone like Jae-yoon Kim. We have posted Mr. Kim now, I think the last 2 consecutive seasons, and nobody wants him. Why? If we look at him relative to Major League Baseball, he sucks. And I think that's one of the biggest takeaways here. Is building a bullpen is harder in the KBO because there's not much to separate them. And so it's basically get a whole bunch of pitchers in roughly the same range, throw them up against a wall, and see what sticks. And that's all you can really do. Which makes great starters important, but even more important is building a lineup. Because that is where you get that deep level of specialization. Some players can do one thing, other players can do another thing. That's how you build a roster to be successful, as far as I can tell in the KBO. But just like in the majors, just like in American Major League Baseball, you need stars. You need people that can take over a game. That is something we didn't have for a very long time with the Oakland series. We also started with a bit in the Pittsburgh series, too, if you remember that series. You need at least one player who has the capability to take the team onto his shoulders and say, we're having an off night, I got this. Now, take that statement and quintuple its importance in the playoffs. As we just saw in the recent Major League Baseball playoffs in real life, Adolis Garcia takes over and helps the Rangers get past the Astros. That's massive. Or Nathan Eovaldi, a pitcher who I think a lot of people in Boston were a little bit disappointed with his last couple of seasons of his career there, has just this outsized major impact. And it's critical for postseason success. I think it's why Cleveland failed last year. They didn't have that one big guy or guys that could just take over the series and just be like, I'm going to hit all these home runs. And Jose Ramirez surely did try. This is not a slight on Jose Ramirez at all. He's one of my favorite players. But it just goes to show you how critical it is to have that big... It doesn't have to be a home runner, but it helps him to be a home run hitter. Just because how swingy baseball is. More than most other sports... Hockey being the one exception, I think. I think I put hockey above this. Baseball is very swinging. And it often feels like no lead is ever safe. If you think the lead is safe, well, I didn't watch the whole thing. I got sleepy. But I remember the game between Cleveland and Seattle several years ago where they had like a 15-run comeback. Like they were that far behind and still came back to win the game. That can happen in baseball. And I think it's because baseball isn't quite as emotional as, say, football. Like, you've seen it. College football, pro football. At a certain point in the game, players just stop giving it 100%. They're tired, they're beaten down, don't have any energy left. I saw this all too frequently in the Hugh Jackson years. And Hugh Jackson was coach of the Cleveland Browns. And just the team would get to a certain point, and then they'd give up. And that just doesn't happen as often in baseball. And I think it's because baseball requires so much on individual performances. Defense is a team sport, but the rest of the game is individual. If I'm a star pitcher, if I'm a Pedro Martinez or Randy Johnson, off the top of my head, my catcher matters to me because the catcher is going to be the one calling the game usually. But if I'm not dealing, I'm out on my own. And this means this makes baseball more swingy in the individual player regard because no lead is ever safe because the other team can't give up. Even if like one or two players gets dispirited, it's very rare to see an entire team of baseball players quit because they're like, we're out of it. We can't do it. We can't accomplish this anymore. Hockey is also hockey is also pretty swingy, but not as much as baseball. Because once you build up a certain kind of lead, especially if you're facing a really great goaltender, again, you'll see that same kind of body language. The same, let's save it for another day kind of thing. Anyway, I went on the mother of all tangents, and we're still 15 minutes into the video, so if by now you skipped ahead to actually see what happens, I don't blame you, but I just found that interesting. And I'll shut up now, and we'll simulate some baseball games, and hopefully this is a good season. One thing I have noticed in the KBO is it seems like it's fairly easy for one team to get out on this incredible lead and then never get caught. I don't know if that's just because of the talent disparities or if it's just how it works, but maybe I'm just not very good at building a team in the KBO. That's very possible. Very possible. Okay, we get Kunwu Park back, which is fantastic news. I'm not even going to waste my breath or your breath deciding what to do. Park goes back to the minors. And Kunwu Park gets called back up. So now I have to decide how we're going to slot Mr. Park back into the lineup, because he does need to desperately go into the lineup. The problem is the batting stats aren't that compelling yet. Like, I don't have enough. No one has enough ABs for me to sit there and tell you this player sucks. We need to bench them, and we need to bench them right now. I think we're gonna bench Park though. How good a defender is Kunwu Park? Is he better than No? He is much better than No. Although, if No gets the experience, he will be very good as well. And I do want him to get that opportunity. So, let's take the 35-year-old man and make him our new DH. And bat him second. I think this is a very strong... And give you some depth charts. I just want to quickly take a look at these. And this all looks fine to me. Because look, the guy's 35, and his bat needs to be in the lineup a lot more than his glove does. So if we can get him to come into the lineup and hit like the Park of old, that is far more valuable to me than having a fairly good defensive outfielder when I already have several of those. And I really want No to get that experience playing in right field so that he can take over right field on a full-time basis. Losing Koo again is getting really old. This is a guy who hasn't managed 10 starts in 3 years and won't do it this start either. I don't know what his issue is, but he better figure it the fuck out. So who do we have pitching-wise to call up? The problem is these young pitchers are all struggling in the exact same place. The exact same place. I probably have too many players here. I should probably actually take a super quick moment here and just get rid of some of the Drek, just to free up spots for people to play more consistently. Like, if all you are is a 30 overall, I don't see a ton of value in you. So I'm going to cut all these guys. You gone. Alright. So let's look at starting pitchers. We're going to sort by overall. If we want a pitcher who can step in, it's probably Dong-Soo Park. But he's not that compelling a pitcher. He's not that good. He's okay, but he doesn't have either the kind of upside or even the kind of current side to really convince me that he's a good fit for the club. Yang Ha Choi I like a little bit better, just because his pitch movement is a little bit better. He has the capability to become like a mid-tier starting pitcher, I think. I just don't think he's there yet. So the question is, do we take somebody like Shin, who doesn't have a ton of experience yet, but he does have that upside that a lot of these other pitchers don't? Mostly because of his stamina, but also because he's got potentially elite level stuff, good movement, and a really nice mix of pitches. He also throws a little bit harder. And I know velocity isn't something that we have a ton of, but this knuckle curve of his could be a real killer if given the opportunity. Dongjin Lee has some interest, although not a lot. Yet another finesse pitcher. And I think it's going to be Shin. And so the question is, do we give Shin that rotation spot, or do we let one of these other guys be a starter? Let's look at our relievers and try to figure out who would make the best starter. Minhyuk Shin has been a starter before. He's done it. What does he look like if we turn him back into a starter? He's basically the exact same guy. I think that makes us an easy choice. Let's get the reliable arm back in the rotation. And let's make you emergency starter long relief. I want you to get innings, but I don't want to give you so many innings right now that we burn you out. We could, you know what? There is so much sameness on this roster right now and this bullpen. I think carrying 14 pitchers is a waste. I think we should carry 13. And I can already tell you who I really don't want to keep anymore. Which is going to be Kim. I wonder if I could trade Kim and get something of interest. It seems unlikely, but you never know. Okay. Not that interesting. I like Junyong Choi a lot. He's actually a reliever that actually stands out a bit. So I think we'll go ahead and trade for him. I realized I didn't actually solve my problem, which is that I wanted fewer pitchers on my roster. But it's fine. Now what I can do then is I can find another player and move them along to try to add another bat. What would I like most of all? Actually, I think we might just want to carry... I think actually I want Choi. No, Choi's out for 5 weeks. But that's kind of what I want. I want to do 50 position players because I want an extra bat off the bench who can make a difference. And there might be O here. So let's do that. Let us bench. You know what? I know as I just called him up, I'm going to send Shin back to the minors. And we're going to use O. and then I'm going to generate a new depth chart because I want that extra. I want that extra threat off the bench. That's kind of what I'm looking at here. How does 16 play? Oh, do I have a two-way guy? I think I do have a two-way guy. I think one of my players here is also a pitcher. I'm not positive which one it is, though. Because you're saying 16-13, which is obviously not possible. Unless one of my pitchers... Yeah, here it is. Shangmo Lee is also hitting every now and again, which is fine. I don't mind that at all. Okay. Let us go ahead and proceed. Oh, damn. 17 runs in a game seems excessive. Let's save some for the next day, boys. Okay. This is going to happen eventually, right? This is a guarantee. He's losing velocity, which isn't ideal. Oh, nice. I didn't think Noah will count as a rookie, but he's clearly showing that he is a quality player. Damn, son. Good job by Youngjun Lee. That's fantastic news. I love it. I'm going to give you a hint. I'm going to give you a hint towards baseball excellence. If you throw no hitters every time you pitch, you can't lose. Well, I guess you could lose. Maybe your guy just like walks every single batter constantly. But maybe also that doesn't happen. So we'll see what happens. One of the things with the KBO that is just crippling is slumps. And it's not because it isn't very long, but it's very easy to get into a rut. And it seems like it's harder to get that boost that restores your faith in your team. Like, I don't know why the LG Twins so much better than we are. I genuinely don't. I guess I could study them and figure out what makes them tick, but it's going to turn out to be they've got like some incredible player that I don't have. Would be my guess, but I don't know. Who knows? We're right around league average again, which is getting really frustrating. Like, we're not putting together consistent performances. Yoon Boon Kim got better. Got some... Part of it is a lot of our players are getting worse, which obviously doesn't help us at all. Not all of them, but some of them. Jai-Hawk Lee and Mejia both want to come back. While I appreciate that, I have very little money for an extension. I don't know that I want Mejia back. The problem is, whatever bullshit is pumped into the waters in the KBO to make it so you walk everybody, he's drunk all of them. It's getting to be a real issue. Like, I am not bringing him back. That's foolhardy. I wouldn't mind bringing Davidson back if he's having a good year. But I'm not bringing him back. Jai-Hawk Lee, I'm definitely not bringing back. I wish you could get rid of some of these higher priced players, to be honest with you. That's really holding us back as a team because I can't upgrade as effectively. Do we want to keep Davidson? So his early returns are actually fairly promising. He's got the homers, he's got the doubles, he's not making contact frequently enough. That should change over the course of the season. He's a little bit too good to not do that. What would he want in terms of an extension? I don't want to mess with this game strategy. My finger slipped. He wants a raise. I don't know that I can give that to him. We will talk about it later on. So why are we struggling 2 months into the season? What are we floundering at? The first things first, we're scoring runs at a relatively good rate. But this is despite several hitters hitting quite poorly. In a 12-team league, ranking 6th in batting average is actually pretty bad. That ain't good. And the only players who are hitting at a really high level are Park and Cho. So once again, like as a team, we're not hitting that well, which is disappointing. Like in comparison, let's look at the LG team, the Twins. Like they have 300 hitters and two others are hitting 290 plus. They have a really, really good offense that we just currently can't compete with. Like we don't have the big time players that they do. Is this the G-Man Choi who played in the majors for a while? It is him. Neat. But yeah, they've got this incredible lineup that I can't compete with currently. Now, I don't know why we're hitting so poorly, because we have a few decent contact guys. Now, take a look at the lineups, and we look at batting ratings. It's like we don't have contact hitters. We just don't have elite contact hitters. So maybe that's part of what we need to do. We need to find great contact hitters and put them back into the lineup, even at the expense of other players. Yeah, I guess we don't have a lot of good contact hitters, do we? But the thing is, we're not going to know if we're ever going to get good contact hitters if we don't let them develop in the minors. And there's the rub. No, you're a reliever. I did see one of the things we're definitely going to change here, but first things first. I think getting Choi off the bench would help. Okay, let's talk about who we can't move. Who we cannot take out of the lineup. We could bench Minwoo Park, I suppose. But the thing is, Park is still getting on base at a really good clip. Like, it's not that he's struggling to get on base, it's he's struggling to hit. Which seems to be kind of a thing for the entire crew. Ju-Won Kim isn't hitting for a very high average. He is contributing in other ways, but I think I'm starting to see a pattern here. Which is that I don't have very many high contact hitters, and the ones that I do have aren't hitting the way they should be. It doesn't fucking help that the Kunwoo Park is made out of glass at this point. He keeps getting injured all the time, and that's not a great look. To that end, I do want to keep O, because he does offer that decent power that we could be in for. I have enough infielders that I question when we have 3 second basemen. That seems excessive. I think I'm going to go ahead and send Han back to the minors to figure his shit out. And I'm going to call up Choi. Like, really, we just see the players that we do have to hit better. Like, that's the takeaway here, is that they're not hitting for enough contact, which is making the lineup not function correctly. The sense that we actually have a very strong offense, relatively speaking. The by far biggest issue, though, is named Yaihawk Lee. And Jae-Yoon Kim, both of whom are pitching extremely poorly. But Lee is the one I'm most concerned about. And some of you have heard this before, it's because he won't stop fucking walking people. His biggest issue, though, is that he doesn't strike people out. And I think at this point, his usefulness to my team is long since passed. Get to the miner's son, and we're gonna call up Shin. I think we're gonna try out Shin and see how he works out. So that was first step there. Mr. Choi, you're gonna be a middle reliever. What is Kim's deal here? Kim is not striking people, but he's also walking a lot of people. He should figure it out, but I can't have him pitching these key innings if he's gonna keep fucking up. So we're gonna take him off of these two roles. And we're instead going to put Mr. Yang here in as the setup guy. And let's also use Mr. Han more often. Yeah, let's use Mr. Han more often. Just put him as used more often. Because they're both having great years. And let's see how this works now as the season progresses. Mejia is also a problem. Do I just cut him and try to get a new foreigner? I think I do, actually. Yeah, I'm going to cut Mejia. I'm sorry the fans are grumpy, but I'm going to make it up to them by getting a better starting pitcher if I can. Stop. William Kempner would be a really interesting pitcher. I know his control sucks, but I think his strikeout numbers would probably defend it. I'd love to get James Paxton. He'd be an awesome... Can I talk to you at all? No. Like, Zach Lowther would be an interesting pitcher, but he's hurt. I'm not going to pay for a guy to get hurt on my dime. If Kempner had any chance to throw strikes, I think I'd strongly consider it. But I almost think we have to try something different. Like, the other option would be to try to find a starting pitcher on the trading block. Because none of these guys that I'm seeing are all that interesting. Because they're all going to run into the exact same problem, right? They're all going to run into the issue in that they're not going to strike people out. And they're going to walk a lot of people. Dylan Van Meeteren actually has some decent upside to him. I think we're going to pick him. I'm going to offer you a contract. I think he'll probably sign fairly quickly, so I'm just going to sim 1 day. And then... who do we temporarily make an additional starter? It's probably going to be Dongjin Lee. Oh, we could try Yoonho Lee as a starter. We can give him some innings there. Make emergency starter long relief. Alright. And then Mr. Van Meeteren is going to take over as one of our starters. And I'm going to send down Dongjin Lee. So you're going to be a starter over Junho Lee. No, you're going to start over Shin. Because Shin needs just innings at a high level. He doesn't necessarily need to start. There we go. And I definitely want to keep Van Meeteren, which means giving him an extension. Which I will happily do sight unseen. Because he's so young that there's a really good chance he's going to end up being a pretty quality pitcher. Let's advance time and see if these changes can help us get over the hump. Troy, you dumb fucker. Did you just take care of one of like their better players? You did. You got submitted for 9 games. Holy shit, man. Maybe we need a goon. We need a fucking goon who just like starts a bunch of bullshit with people. That'd be pretty funny, actually. Like, yeah, sure, he can't hit his way out of a paper bag. What he does is he just eggs on the other team until they throw at him and then get their best player suspended. I like that a lot. So I think in the draft we want to target a couple of high contact guys if we can find them. We also really just need our youngsters to develop the way that they should be developing. I think that's going to be another key element to our continued success, is getting people to develop. Nice by Davidson. Very nice. How long are you out, Mr. Young? Only a couple of days. I have nobody in the top 10, which isn't great. Who do we want to keep coaching staff-wise? Well, if we look at our chemistry, it's content, but it could be better. I think Raimundo is gone. We're not hitting consistently. And plus, he's one of these people that's making it hard for everyone else to be happy. Or maybe it's not him. Okay. So nobody likes controlling people, which means the team trainer? But then again, it says controlling 0. It sounds like we don't like personable people. I think we'll let Tingle walk. I think we keep Gainer. Actually, John Burkett would just be a good manager flat up. I'm going to extend him if he'll take the extension. But what I actually want to do is actually want to promote him to the big leagues. Fernando Liger can also stay. I don't want to mess with that very much. Let's get Neil Huntington. Let's re-extend him if we'll take the extension. I think we let Gust and we let Raimundo. Gust and Tingle both walk. And I think we keep Gainer. Like, I think if we keep Gainer, we'll be in okay shape. I know it's personable, but we're losing Raimundo, who's one of the people that hates personable people, so I think we're going to keep Mr. Raimundo here for a bit longer, but we're going to replace 2 coaches, essentially, Tingle and Gust. And honestly, if he's up for it, it's probably going to be John Burkett. I'm probably going to make him a manager. He doesn't like controlling, but he likes controlling, and he doesn't like easygoing, and nobody on this team is easygoing. So I think that's going to be a good coaching move. We'll be promoting John Burkett and maybe finding somebody to replace him. All right. Cool beans. Let's sim to the end of the month. The Killed in Action Tigers, classic. But you must dinosaur to the top of the pack. There we go. More puns is what we needed. More puns. Although in reality, I think having dinosaurs play against some of these others would just be unfair. Especially if you get real, like, weak and pick, like, pterodactyls or Rhamphorhynchus, neither of which are technically dinosaurs. They're pterodons. But still. Mr. Young-Hoon Huang is improving his velocity, which is very appreciated. Very appreciated indeed. Some decent improvement here. Some good stuff here. 200 wins for Mr. Hyun Jong Yang. Very nice. Matt Davidson would like to come back. He's been a pretty productive hitter if he would just hit the fucking ball a bit more frequently. But the thing is, I can't afford him because he wants over $1 million, and I'm not paying him that. I'm not paying him that in the slightest. So what's basically has happened is some of our hitters have started to hit. Not all of them, certainly, but some of them have. Bay is cooked, I think. As good as he was last season, he's fallen back on bad habits, and I think we need to get a new leadoff hitter. And possibly a new center fielder. No, Kim is much too far away from major leagues to be considered in that. So if we don't keep Bay, who plays center field? And who can handle the position with some level of skill? Let's do this, and we're going to do fielding ratings. Oh, no, that's... Oh, we want position ratings. That's what I was looking for. Huh. Bay certainly cannot be the leadoff hitter at this point. He cannot. So let's look at batting ratings. Or batting stats, that's what I meant to say. Who has the best WOBA? Who's really good at getting on base currently? Can Choi play center? Choi can absolutely not play center. Okay. I guess I could move No over to center, but the thing is he's not very good at it. And I'd rather have... I have no objections to Bay's defense. I have objections to his ability to hit baseballs. That's my concern with him. Park? Oh, Siwon Park isn't even playing regularly anymore. But he also can't play center field. At least Minwoo Park draws walks. I think we're going to do this. Because this should help the entire team. If we can get more people on base early on, that should help fire up the rest of the lineup. And make Davidson even more dangerous. Because he'll have more people on base when he gets to take his big cuts. I really wish No would figure it out. He's playing at a very disappointing level right now, and I can't understand why. Unless he's just been fantastically unlucky. But we have a lot invested in No being fantastic. And right now he is anything but that. If we look at his BABIP, it's pretty low actually. So hopefully we can get him to unlock his true potential and start dominating the way that we need him to. Thank goodness for Seijun Cho having a pretty decent season. He certainly hasn't been perfect, but he has added that extra thump that we've needed in the middle of the lineup. We need on-base guys, though. And I think part of that is I think we need to find a position for Choi. I could have Choi play at second. He wouldn't be great at it, but he also wouldn't be terrible. could put him out in left field, but not center. And I think that's our biggest issue. I think one of our long-term questions has to be who can we get to play center field? Because Bay is clearly cooked. Very clearly cooked. I like Lee a lot, actually. I don't want to give him up. Who's currently starting most games? It's been Kim, and Kim hasn't been elite. Bay's problem is Bay's only tool is hitting for average. So when he doesn't hit for average, like right now, he's in some bad shape. He's not that good defensively either. Let's go ahead and try to trade him, maybe for a center fielder. Center field, please. You're not ready to play in the majors consistently. Not a center fielder. Not a center fielder. Not a center fielder. Oh, here we go. Jae-gyu Kim is not a center fielder. Heyman Park is a center fielder, but he's also not a very good hitter, and I'm not going to acquire that. Interesting. Ji-hoo Kim just plays all the positions well. Like, holy shit, he could be something really special, given the opportunity. He's currently in the driver's seat. It'd be Ji-hoo Kim. Some of the rest of you fuckers that say you're center fielders can actually play center field. Yeah, let's get Ji-hoo Kim. I wonder if we're willing to throw in anybody else. I mean, I'd love to get Young Pil Kim, and I am not remotely... Yeah, I knew we weren't going to get that. That wasn't going to happen. Okay, well, we tried. This is fine. We're getting a pretty good player that I think can actually help spark something special. And might honestly be better to play than the other Kim. If not for his arm strength being weak, I'd say make an ideal shortstop. But at least we have options now. And then what we're going to do is we're going to... I still need a backup catcher, so some hitter here... O's actually doing all right. I'm going to send down O, who literally is the worst, to call up Jo-hyun Lee, who's going to slide in as our backup catcher. I am not letting you play Siwon Park this frequently when chosen one of our most consistent power hitters. Once a week seems fine, but that's it. You know what? You win, game. You win. And regenerate depth chart, please. And then you're going to be once every 7 games. I didn't expect him to be a new starting shortstop, but I think it does make sense. There you go. I don't love the arm strength, but hopefully the rest of his abilities here will make him a viable player. When is our super young shortstop gonna be ready to go? I think he just needs a lot more time. Um, the thing is, he'd be awesome at second base too, as a top power guy, but he is gonna need some time to really unlock that ability there. Let us now proceed. Ours doesn't fix the problem of Bay and what to do with them going forward, but it's fine. I wonder if the throwing arm stat is also for throwing accuracy or if it's just for throwing power. That I'm not sure about. I don't know how OTP works that well behind the scenes to give you information on that. There we go. Let's try not losing. That feels like the right strategy. I know it's next level managing to tell players not to lose, but we're gonna try it out and see how it works. I feel a lot better if we could build up a little more steam. Just try to break away from the pack is what I'm trying to do. The pack of dinosaurs. I'd love to get that number 1 overall seed, but that might be a tall ask. Be a very tall ask. Jai Hawk Lee is going to retire. Good for him. Manu Park missed a day. A thumb contusion sounds very unpleasant. And Seijin Show is player of the week. Nice. Nice. How's the pitching staff doing? Meterin is struggling. But, and stop me, we've heard this before, if this dumb fucker could just stop walking people, he'd be an elite talent. The problem is he is, in fact, walking people at a very high rate. Thankfully, he's also striking them out at a pretty high rate, so that's helpful. But yeah, this fucker needs to stop walking people and giving up hits. He basically needs to pitch better. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go ahead, because Shin's peripherals, he's not striking people out either, though, is the issue. Jae-Yoon Kim has had 40 innings to show that he can't pitch. Let's let Hoon Jeon have a chance. So Jae-Yoon Kim, you go to the minors. Hoon Jeon comes up, and he's going to get middle relief. There we go. I thought it was something to be a little more reactionary with the KBO. I probably need to start checking things out more closely in the first month of the season. I don't think that I can do what I do with the major, which is just punt on the first month to see everything else will sort out. I wonder how badly we missed the All-Star break, though. Like, I wonder what kind of difference that makes. Oof. Come on, Tigers. No bueno. It is also admittedly a shorter season than Major League Baseball has. That's another key factor here. I thought I offered Gaynor a new contract. Did I not? Did I re-sign the wrong guy? Oh my god. I re-signed Raymundo. I didn't want to re-sign Raymundo, did I? No, I did. I did this deliberately. Yeah, we're gonna like Gaynor, Gust, and Tingle Walk. That should help get us some better chemistry. What's reputation poor? Like, holy shit, guys. Don't be jerks. I could add on another foreigner if there's any interesting. I wouldn't mind adding you as a minor leaguer. I know I can only ever have 3 foreigners, but I'd be interested to see how he could do potentially. What about hitters? Are there any elite hitters? There are some real good ones. Harrison Bader, eh? Oh no, I cannot have a third person now because I've already got 3. That's right. That's right. What do we got on the trading block? I wonder. I mean, who wouldn't love a center fielder with this raw talent level? Like, he is a franchise cornerstone in every sense of the word, and there ain't no way in hell I can trade for him. Like, I will never be able to afford that. So we're just gonna flat out pretend I didn't see that. Mm. The thing is, like, I'm looking at these options here, and very few of them really fill me with that much interest. Like, there's some decent players here, but nobody that really represents anything special, except for Si-Woong Park, but I don't think I can afford him. But we can try it. Like, we can ask. No. Alright, I guess we're not doing anything then. That's fine. There's just nobody of interest for me. I'd rather keep going with what we've got than disrupt the potential team chemistry in favor of a minor patch on things. Player development. Hae Young Kim is throwing harder than ever, which is amazing news. Dong Jin Lee is improving his control. There's some good things happening here. Some very good things happening. Meter end is clearly not that great. Ji-Hoo Kim is actually getting even better, as is Seijin Cho. Sung-Hyun Park is improving a little bit too. Good stuff, good stuff. Alright. Let's sum up to the draft. I don't think there's anything else here that has changed enough for me to make any further decisions. I could bench Van Meeteren and give Shin some opportunities here. Or we could take the kid that just improved. Young Ha Choi would actually have a decent chance if he weren't hurt, but he's going to be out for 5 months. Dong Shin Lee would actually be better than Van Meeteren right now. I wonder if I could send him to the minors. I cannot. Let's send down Young Woo Shin, call up Dong Jin Lee, and then Lee's going to get the rotation spot over Van Meeteren. And then you're going to be an emergency starter, long reliever. Because until you can get this walk rate down, you're not going to be good enough to pitch as a starter. If you can get the walk rate down, though, that could be very beneficial to us as a franchise as well as to you. Let's sim up to the draft. I mean, you do you, buddy. But I'm not going to pay for you. I will give you $0 in order to join us. That's it. Man, I really miss Koo. He's an amazing pitcher, and yet he just hasn't been able to be healthy. Yay, it's not like we don't need fucking Matt Davidson or anything. Like, really, dude? You've been so instrumental to our team's success, and now you're fucking injured. That sucks a lot. I don't really have a first baseman that really needs a spot. I mean, I could call up Park. But what really needs to happen, though, is we need to get probably O into the lineup, I'm thinking. Yeah, we'll do O. O has not as much power as Davidson, but he's close to it. And so I think that sets us up best for success if we let O be the first baseman. Would you stop trying to take Cho out of the fucking lineup? Just cease. Park has played really well this year, and I'm sure he will continue to play well. But the way the team is currently composed, I need Cho. Like, Cho is worth 4 wins. Stop trying to bench him just because Park is a better outfielder. Like, really? Cease. Alright, let us advance forward in time. We get like a nice little sustained run against the Tigers or the Twins. I think we could really put our stamp on this postseason. Potentially. Man, there is so much tension because of how valuable every postseason spot is and how hard it is to get in, that I'm like constantly looking over my metaphorical shoulder. And hoping we can scrap together every possible advantage to just build that sustained success. We took 2 out of 3 from the Twins. That's pretty valuable. Another no-hitter for Junho Lee. Has he had 2 no-hitters this year? Am I correct in saying that? No, he had 1 no-hitter. The other guy got a no-hitter. That's right. Alright. Let's get drafting. Now, we have a reasonably good draft pick, so this is a great chance to add another premium talent. So we're going to sort by default, and we're going to see who's left when we get to pick. There's a lot. So we want elite hitters to take us into the next phases of our game. I won't deny we also need pitching fairly badly too. But a lot of our roster is aging, and I think we need those elite players who can take us to the next level. Soooo Kim is a top-tier hitter that doesn't really have a position. I am also slightly concerned about his work ethic. I'm concerned that he won't develop to the level that he could. So I think Kim is a pass. Can't play the field, but otherwise, a pretty attractive player. Very much all or nothing. Not a third baseman, but I like the package. The best pure hitter is by far Kim. Like, it's not even a debate. If all we care about is offense, Kim is the guy. I know he's a terrible outfielder, but that's the only hole in his game is his terrible defense. Um, Hell, we could push him into first base, and I think he'd be an amazing player. So I think Kim is the pick. He gets us the offensive upside that we crave. Plus, yeah, that's the decision there. All right, so 3 players are left, and we do want a long-term center field replacement. Neither one of these guys are that guy, though. Maybe Soooo Kim? He wouldn't be a terrible center fielder, but let's look at each one of these guys in turn. Young Suk Hong has good contact and power, but he's not a very good third baseman. He's also 21, so the fact he hasn't gotten past this is a little concerning to me. I'm concerned about his future. Kim has a really well-rounded offensive profile. Not really a center fielder, though. So is Soooo Kim. Again, pretty high ceiling. I'd trust him to be a center fielder more. I think I'd definitely just take Kim, though. And if he ends up playing in the corner, he ends up playing in a corner. But I think his package, his total package is too valuable to me to let that go. Okay. I want to get a starting pitcher. And let's look at Hong Chong Kim. Another one of these guys. Okay. What do we got? Amazing movement and control. This is a guy who will keep the ball down. And that is so incredibly valuable. He's also big enough that I think he'll add velocity as he gets older. My one concern is his strikeout rate, which is always going to be fairly low. He struck a lot of people out in high school, which I get that. But my concern is why? Why is his strikeout rate so much higher? And if you look at his records, because he didn't pitch that frequently. But I do think he is a worthy addition to our franchise, and so we'll add him in. We have 3 medium tier prospects. Let's look at each one of them. Dai Ki Huang is very much a home run hitter who didn't hit home runs in high school. I don't see why my scout thinks he has that much power in him. He Gone Kim is not a catcher, but he is a first baseman. My concern with him is this. Without that elite gap power, he's going to struggle to drive the ball if he's not hitting it out of the park. But that is such a medium, that's such like a mid skill, and the rest of his profile is so attractive that I think he's going to be our pick. Yes, I'm not even going to look at the other guy. Fuck him. Alright, this is a good time to try to find a good defensive center fielder. So we're going to sort by position ratings, fielding, and CF. You all suck. Yeah. In other words, there aren't any. There aren't any center fielders in this draft. At least if there were any, we missed them. But that is going off of current defense, of course, not future defense. So another thing to consider there. Meh. Are you literally the exact same player? No, you're just very, very similar. Hmm. Like, I get it. We're in the part of the draft now where every player is going to have a flaw. And it could be a very serious flaw. I will take Jae-ho Kim, mostly because I could see him improving his stuff just a little bit. And he's such a big guy. I think Jae-ho Kim was going to be a fine addition to our collection of baseball players. 6 of one, half dozen of the other. Like, your only skill is hitting for gap power. That's your only skill. You don't strike out very often. So you're going to hit a bunch of doubles, and you might have the speed to get some triples, but that's about all I expect from you. You're just worse. I don't like it, but I'll take it. Oh, hang on, what about Junho Kim here? Is he like secretly an amazing center fielder? He is not. Disappointing. Kwang Sik. Oh, meh. Let's grab this kid here. Let's do it. I think I'm just going to send the rest of the draft. We're going to let Neil Huntington pick the rest of our players here. There are some damn good starting pitchers at the top of the draft this year. Really? I mean, this is the kind of player where if you hit on him, he's going to be ultra elite. But I don't trust him. I don't trust him. If either one of these skills fucks up, he's going to be worthless. I think we made a much better pick with our choice. Let's shortlist this fine feathered friend of ours. Before you complain, dinosaurs did have feathers, so it is appropriate to call him a fine feathered friend now. We've locked up the playoffs, which is amazing. Better than any of our previous couple of seasons. Not ideal timing, Yang. Not ideal timing. I was kind of hoping on you to be a useful piece in our playoff hunt, but evidently that's asking too much. Um, call up Shin. Okay, his walkout rate has dropped significantly. I think we're going to put him back in the rotation just because somebody has to go into the rotation at this point. Some pitcher must be in the rotation. Dong Jin Lee pulling in a clutch shutout. Very appreciated. Yeah, Yang keeps losing more velocity. I think we're probably going to have to part with him in the off season here. Mostly because I also want the money, but that's. I think he himself is not good enough at this point in his career. Oh, we were in first place. Does this game matter? So, okay. Let's talk this through. The game's 100 and what? 154 games? I think. I think that's how long this season is. 144 actually, I think. Yeah, it's 144. Okay. So here's the deal. If I lose and the Twins win, I'd still be ahead of them in the loss column. Which means I think I would still keep the number 1 seed. But it might be close, actually. Let's just win the game and not worry about it. Apparently not. And then what's enough for the Twins to get over top of me? That's fine. What this is most importantly going to do is it is going to give it's going to give Davidson a chance to get healthy. Because I'd really like to have him in the playoffs here. I truly, truly would. Let's get out the old playoff tree. Yeah, so what this means is we're going to get a chance to rest up and see if we can't, and see what we can accomplish here. So... play until next playoff round, please. The Tigers made it, which means they play the Eagles. Come on, guys. 5-game series. Every day that brings Matt Davidson closer to health is a day we desperately need. Oh, thank God. Okay. Did O have a great... O had a pretty damn good season. Better than Choi. But I think we probably need both of them. I'm actually going to send down Mr. Park here. Yeah, I'm going to send down Park. And then Davidson, you're getting your spot back. Because we desperately need your incredible offensive talent. Generate me a depth chart, please. I'm going to have to come in here and fix it. Because you're going to be like, let's play Park. No, let's play the guy who's the best hitter on the team this year. There we go. Alright, play until next playoff round. We get Yang back. That is also beneficial. Yang is still one of our best pitchers, despite his issues there. I think I'm going to send him to the minors, though. Alright, let's get our pitching staff straight. Who do we want in which position? Dong Jin Lee has had a pretty solid season. But Junho has been there since day 1. I think he goes there. And I think we're going to rock a 3-man rotation. It's going to be these 3. And then I want all of you guys basically in middle relief available whenever it's needed. That's the plan anyway. That's how I'm going to set this up. Alright, a playoff win, our very first. You'd love to see it. That's 2 straight. Oof. How rusted is Shin? Do we need a 4-starter? Are you freaking kidding me? You're food poisoning. Which means who's actually scheduled to start? It still says Shin, but it's not going to be Shin because he's out because of food poisoning. Really? Lee is on way too short a rest. Dongjin Lee. Let's go to a 4-man rotation. I'm going to put Lee back in the rotation. We're actually going to start you. Because I think it gives the best chance to succeed. Which you did. Well done. Our first ever Korean series championship. Nice. Alright, let's play the next playoff round. Alright. Now, I want to quickly look at our the standings, team versus team. I want to see how we did against the Twins this year. So against the Twins, we were 8-4. And only 3 other teams had more wins against them. Which is good news. It's not perfect news, but I am hopeful that we can make a good series of it. And we're off to a rip-roaring start. Thank goodness for... Wait, my third baseman hit a home run. Okay. Felipe paying dividends, as we expected he would. We're going to sim ourselves a game here. We're going to go boop. And we do get topped in the second game. Felipe got roughed up, relatively speaking. Ooh, expansion. And, alright, there we go. Come on, dinos. Oof. Yeah, Lee got tore up. Not great. Oh, no. We might be done. I don't know that for a fact, but I don't like our chances right now. Damn it. Yeah, you know what happened? Our starting pitching shat the bed. That is what happened. We did not pitch well at all. And honestly, Felipe fucked up. Like, Felipe blew 2 saves. If we had won both those saves, we won the World Series, which is weird. Because Felipe was one of our very best pitchers the entire season, and then he just doesn't. Very disappointing, Mr. Felipe. Very disappointing indeed. It's like most of his bad luck, though, because actually his ERA looks pretty good. But yeah, the real issue was, let's pick a game at random here. Why did we lose this game? It's because... Oh, no, actually. Yeah, look at this shit right here. Van Meeteren. Oh, we fucked up defensively. Who played poorly? Our youngster fucked up. Wow. Like, how do you make that kind of error? What kind of... Was it a throwing error? I bet it was a throwing error. It just says E6. It doesn't say what kind of error it was. Interesting. Oh, that is a poorly timed error, my friend. That cost us that game right there. This game we just got ruffle stomped. Dong Junli has a lot to learn, and he pitched extremely poorly. So there's no mystery there, right? Did Min Ho Lee used to pitch for me? I don't think he did. That's all on him. But this game also seemed like it was winnable. And Felipe got beat. Like, there's no sugarcoating it. He got beat. He gave up a home run. Like, there's nothing else to be said beyond that. I mean, it was still a tie game. Really, the sixth inning was the one that we fucked up. And that's all on Mr. Choi here. If Junyong Choi had pitched well, it doesn't even get to that issue. Like, right here. Walks into the game, gives up 2 hits, and a 3-run homer. So, it was our bullpen. It just wasn't... But it's hard to be that upset, though, right? Like, it's hard to be that upset about losing a 6-game World Series, a Korean series, when we had actually been so disappointing for so long. I think this is a tremendous achievement, and I'm actually really proud of our team and how we did. So we're going to break that down, and then we're going to end the episode. Man, it could have been us. The ball bounces slightly differently, 2 different at-bats, and we win the series. That's how close baseball can be. That's how close it can be. I'm an OTP god. I mean, I already knew that, but thank you for the validation. My friend Voided. We'll rebuild the coaching staff next episode. And a few people are getting posted. Alright, let's talk about the season. What went well, what didn't go well, and how can we get better next season? Let's start by sorting the roster by war. Seijun Cho was phenomenal. When we needed a top-tier player to drive this offense, he did it. Which is why I find it particularly galling that the game was like, but what if we just benched him for Siwon Park? Like, seriously, settle down. Despite some of his issues, Kim has proven to be a really strong third baseman. Mostly because a lot of his value comes from his ability to take a walk, but he still connects with enough pitches that he is a good player. 2 things are true. Minwoo Park is a valuable piece of this franchise. Minwoo Park is ghastly overpaid. Ghastly overpaid. 4 wins for $2 million is a good look in the majors, but it's not such a good look when he only really has the one offensive skill, which is drawing walks. Thankfully, he was able to do that enough this season that he was able to make himself a productive player. But he is starting to lose some of his defensive chops at second base, so he might be somebody we can replace. Matt Davidson, in a lot of ways, was kind of our MVP because he gave us that genuine threat that teams couldn't avoid, and I think he really drove our offense in some ways. So it would have been better had he been a better hitter, but I'm glad we got what we did from him. No was still disappointing. Yes, he just came in and got 3 wins in his official rookie season of value. He turned into being a quality right fielder. This is not mistakable. But the motherfucker struck out a lot. Like, a third of his at-bats, I want to say. If we quickly check that, actually. For a bit of a checky check here. No, just under a quarter of the at-bats. There is still so much untapped potential here that for us to be a great team moving forward, we've got to see him take a sophomore leap. This means more balls in play, less strikeouts, and driving the ball a little bit more. 17 home runs is pretty good though. Like he had a great season, but there's still more here. There's a lot more here, and hopefully he can tap into that next season. Bay is done. In my professional opinion, as a general manager and manager of a baseball team, Bay is done. If he's going to strike out more than a third of his plate appearances, he'd better be doing something special to make up for it. And his defense was good, but it wasn't great. And I need basically like platinum glove defense to even consider giving him this bigger role again. Because that strikeout rate is obscene. The only other thing that drives his values is actually stole a bunch of bases this year, which is fantastic. I love that for him. But if he's a starting center fielder next year, it had better be because we have a really good rookie that's coming up and is ready for bigger playing time. Hyun Jun Kim was pretty good, mostly because of his defense, but he had just enough that he wasn't a total embarrassment. I know he didn't play for us for very long, but I was impressed with what Kim could bring to the table defensively. My dude here was worth almost 20 runs defensively. Yeah, we did make some errors, including that costly error in the postseason. I still think we found ourselves a pretty good shortstop. Kunwoo Park is not the player he used to be. But we got two things out of him this year. One, he was healthy. And two, he was consistent. He too is massively overpaid. But we needed an elite contact guy. And we got that mostly from him. Plus, he's going to be monitored next season. So we can worry about that then. But we got some amazing contributions from people on the bench. Incredible contributions. Starting with young Soooo. All he did in 150 at-bats, 150 play appearances, roughly, is rake. Like, he was truly an amazing hitter, and I think he's got a very high probability of having a role to play on this team in the future. Choi, another outstanding bat. I really think one of the key decisions of this season was to switch to the full 15 position players, because we got a lot of players extra playing time that actually had pretty strong games. Jongwon Choi was phenomenal. Truly, truly excellent. And I'm running out of ways to keep him out of the lineup, other than the fact I just don't have a natural position for him. I mean, he just casually plays left field when he needs to. He played center for some ungodly reason. But I think Choi is another player here that has a really bright future because of his skill set. Siwon Park had a pretty good season. I know he didn't play as much toward the end of the season. But we still got some pretty positive performances out of him, and he was another really good hitter. Our bench was deep as fuck. Han-Byul Kim, a little bit less so. He only got as much as he did because he was our starter at the beginning of the season. But yeah, we had a really deep bench, and I think that really carried us over the hump when we only really had a couple of star players. Really Cho and Cho, Kim, Park, and Davidson were all right about the same level. Only Cho was a true star, though. But even then, I still think he pales in comparison to some of the other players and what they were able to accomplish this year. What about our pitching staff? We got a couple of really good contributions from two of our starting pitchers. The Lees, Youngjun and Junho. Felipe is what we needed. We needed a dominant reliever to solidify our team, and that's exactly what we got. Um, but what I can't help but noticing is that our secondary pitching wasn't that great. We had two pretty good starters. Um, and then we had some decent relievers. We actually had a fairly good bullpen this year. But then our proverbial ace was Minhyuk Shin, who wasn't actually that great. He was good, but he wasn't great. And I think one of the things we needed desperately in the postseason was a starting pitcher to take the game over, and we didn't have that. We had a hard time putting together a deep, well-positioned starting pitching staff. Part of that is, Yang. Yang did have a pretty good season, though. Our good pal Mr. Yang did have a pretty good season, all told. He was actually a pretty useful pitcher. But man, we didn't have elite starting pitching talent. One thing that's going to happen, guaranteed, is Young Ha Choi is going to get an opportunity in spring training. He truly could be one of the better pitchers on our roster. We've got to get Koo back. So desperately were we missing him these last few seasons. I know he has no injury ability whatsoever left. I don't count on him giving us starts, but we desperately need a pitcher of his talent to come by and just take over. I'm going to do one last thing before the episode ends. I'm going to trade Park here and try to get a starting pitching prospect. Or just any starting pitcher, but I do think we need a starting pitcher here. Wante Choi doesn't fill me with joy or anything, but he's actually a reasonably good starting pitcher, and he's fairly durable too. I think acquiring him does make some sense. I think we'll go ahead and make this trade right now. Park just isn't that valuable. He's an average second baseman with average offensive capabilities, and I have a lot of second basemen in my system, so I think that's a good move for us. And we'll obviously set the roster that we want to set it and hope for bigger and better things next year, but this is going to fuck up the A's game. It always does. I'm really looking forward to seeing one of these youngsters start to take a step forward in the minors next year. Looks like Kim didn't play at all, but that makes sense because I think the season is over by the time we added him. Both of you were like that. I need to see more from you. I see a lot more from you. Your first year professional baseball didn't go super great. But if you can add a little bit more consistency offensively, I could see you being a star. I truly could. Han is not a second baseman. Even if you max out your abilities, I'm not convinced you're a better second baseman than, say, Choi or Park. Plus, you're stuck with Park for another several years, so, meh. Bleh. We have a lot of money, though. So, if we want to, we could keep Davidson. But here's my deal, though. I already have two pretty good first basemen that are both going to need more playing time in either Choi or O. Let's keep Davidson. I have a ton of money for extensions, so if we want to try to lock somebody up to a big market extension, this would be a good season to do it. What about Mr. No? Let's say we do a 6-year contract. What would your demand look like? Oh, it's like you're just in arbitration mode, aren't you? Yeah, we'll just stick with arbitration for now. We'll wait and see if people get closer to being free agents. I would bring Yang back, but only for like a fraction of his current salary. 96 grand is a fraction of his current salary. That is true. Like, that is a minuscule amount of cash. But I'd rather have the roster spot. I think we have to let him walk. I truly, truly do. Just for funsies, let's post Bay. $1 million. If somebody will pay me $1 million, they can have Bay. Alright, that's going to conclude today's episode. I hope you have enjoyed. If you have, remember to like and subscribe. Let me know how you think the season went in the chat. But until next time, this has been Guardian. Thank you for watching, and I bid you